Okay, so Scream 2022 has been out for a couple weeks now, and I watched it again for a second time in the theater. That's pretty rare. I really don't go to the movies twice, like seeing the same movie twice, unless it's usually one of those big budget movies like Star Wars or a lot of the Marvel movies I go and see twice. I saw Spider Man No Way Home twice, and that's the last one I saw twice in the theater because I loved it so much. And Scream 2022, I really, really loved a lot. Rewatching this a second time, I was genuinely surprised at how well it held up because of the fact that this movie really there was such apprehension from a lot of people where it's like this is not Wes Craven's movie anymore because he had passed away in 2015. Everybody was apprehensive to do it. Um, and the execution in it is fantastic. I truly love this movie a lot. And I'm going to quickly say my ranking. If I had to rank it, it would be in the middle. And I'm not saying that as like a disservice to this movie, but the obviously my favorite is Scream 2, then Scream 1, then this one, and then Scream 4, then Scream 3 last. So it's hard to rank these. There's only 5 movies. Um, but since I watched it again and I didn't say any spoilers in my spoiler free video, I wanted to talk about the spoilers because there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I was genuinely surprised at and I really, really loved. So let's get started. There are a couple different things in this movie compared to the other films that I really, really loved. I like the fact that Tara, the girl at the beginning of the movie or in the opening scene, is not killed off. She lasts throughout the movie and even survives through the movie. She's the one with the final blow. She kills one of the killers in the final, like the final killer, and I really like that. I like that this movie really does that, where it turns you on your head of having that idea of what a Scream movie is, because like I said in the first 4 Scream movies, it opens up with a usually 2 characters, usually either a girl and a guy or 2 girls if you're watching Scream 4. But this one started out with just one girl, Tara, who this scene is really well done. I really like the fact that Roger Jackson, who does the voice of Ghostface, um, talks normal, and I really like that a lot. It reminded me of the first Scream, where it in the first Scream he was still like the voice was still creepy with Drew Barrymore with calling Casey Becker at the beginning, but in this one it has a lot of dialogue where Ghostface is talking like a normal person. And I really like the conversation he had with Tara. Like he's like, "Oh, I'm just a friend of your mom's. I'm the one she's talking about. We're in group. We're talking about blah blah blah." And I really like that conversation. I like the fact that it really built in with this with the villain of the movie on the phone and how he slowly just edged her into it, saying like, "Oh yeah, with these horror movies, the character who's home alone, the girl who's home alone, is talking on the phone with the killer and wants to play a game. Do you want to play a game, Tara?" And I thought that that was really good. Um, I really like the fact, like I said, that Tara did not die, but she was stabbed a lot in the opening. So you would have thought that she died. And even the next scene after with Sam and Richie, where Sam is Tara's sister, where Sam hears that Tara was attacked and she's like, "Is she dead?" And they're like, "No, she survived." And I'm just like, whoa, like even watching this a second time, it just was such a great reaction to not having the girl at the beginning die. That was genuinely surprising. So the opening kill is one of the different things in this movie that I really liked. I also really liked the character of Sam. I thought that this character was really cool. This is a great new character for this franchise. And it's so weird because this one and Scream 4 are very similar, where it is trying to bring in new characters, but also bring in the old characters. And in this one, the Sam character is the most important character. Um, and I really love the fact that she is the daughter of Billy Loomis. And that scene between her and Tara, where she's talking to Tara about, "I'm the reason why my dad left. It's because I found a diary up in the attic, and mom was talking about this boy that she liked, but it wasn't dad. And then that guy got her pregnant, and then she lied to Dad and told her that I was hers, or that I was his. And then I went downstairs with the diary and screamed in Mom's face, like, "How could you do this to me?" Without realizing that Dad was right behind me. And then that's why Dad left. And that dialogue that Sam has with Tara is so well done. And then the fact that she brings in the secret of that she is Billy's daughter, because Billy fooled around with Sam's mom apparently, and there is some offspring to Billy Loomis, and I thought that was very, very cool. And I liked seeing Skeet Ulrich back in this movie. Like, I was actually really genuinely surprised that they brought him back. Like, it's weird because for the most part he looks fine. It is obviously him, but they made him a little de-aged because, of course, Skeet Ulrich has been 25 years since the first Scream, so he's obviously looks a little different. And it kind of is like a Pet Sematary type of vibe where, like, he will just appear and he's talking to Sam, like, her hallucinations, like, she's like, "I'm not like you," and he's like, "Yes, you are. Let's cut some throats." Like that was really good, and I really liked it. And I know people will be, like, half and half on that, like, Billy Loomis being, like, Pet Sematary, like, hallucinations. Like, I understand why somebody wouldn't like that, but I dug it. I thought that was so cool and so interesting. Something that this movie also did differently that I really enjoyed and was genuinely surprised at was killing off Dewey, a character I loved in all these movies, but man, whenever they kill off Dewey, it was brutal and violent, and it was so hard to watch. Like, really, really liked that they had the balls to do that. It really felt like, in that way, a reason for this to exist. And the killers, Richie and Amber, their motivation being toxic fandom. I really, really like that too. So, like I said, the reason why the killers are killing is because they want to make their version of Stab 8. Because now in this universe there have been 8 Stab movies, and it was and the last Stab in this universe was directed by Rian Johnson. So, and they don't say him by name, but they say, "Oh yeah, the Knives Out guy." So it is Rian Johnson who directed Stab 8, and it's so hilarious because I am a big fan of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I love that movie, but it's so funny the fact that that is the most relatable movie in terms of toxic fandom. That movie is insanely overhated to a point where I just don't logically understand it. Even if I didn't like that movie, I would have been like, "You guys are just being too much, like, too annoying about this. Like, this has seriously gone too far with the toxic fandom for Star Wars: The Last Jedi." And I thought that was hilarious that just Rian Johnson in this universe directed Stab 8, and it was something that pissed on everybody's childhoods, and everybody was so pissed off. And I love the fact that the killer's motivation is that. Like, it's weird to say and creepy to say, but I feel like in real life, I could see somebody doing this. Somebody killing off somebody because they ruined their childhood because of this kind of thing. And it's just really interesting the fact that they went that route. And I really like that to make this movie warranted as another sequel. Because it's weird because with the first Scream movies, it's a trilogy, and the trilogy's wrapped up in Scream 3, and then Scream 4 brings everybody back, and you realize that Jill is the killer, Sidney's cousin, and that she's dead. So then it's like, where do we go now in this movie? Like, how do we have more killers? And just how they had these killers, I thought was really well done. Jack Quaid in particular, I haven't seen him really in anything else. I know he's in, I think, The Boys. I think that's the show. I've never seen it, but I think he's in that as well. He's Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid's son. He is great in this movie, and his turn is really good because he is the dorky boyfriend, but, like, whenever he's revealed as the killer, like, it is well done, and he's really well acted. I really dig it. And Amber, I really thought I liked as well. And this actress who was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's movie, last movie. It's hilarious that in this movie she gets burned to death like she does in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's pretty gnarly. And I love that scene where she's trying to apologize to Sydney and Gale, like, I'm sorry. And then Gale just says, fuck you, and shoots her and then burns her alive. Like, I thought that was fantastic. Um, so I like the killers as well. I thought that they were really well done. I thought they were interesting and fun and funny and goofy. Over the top ridiculous, like you would expect in a Scream movie. Um, I haven't even talked about Sydney and Gale yet. Now, it's weird to see in this movie because you've got the three main characters from the other movies, Sydney, Gale, and Dewey. And this has a Star Wars The Force Awakens type of structure to it, where you get the new characters, you get introduced to an older character, Dewey. Dewey gets killed off, like Han Solo. Then you get the other legacy characters at the end. So, and also it's, I guess it kind of has a connection to Rise of Skywalker because it's like the hero is born from the villain, like Sam is born from um, Billy. So she is the villain, but she is trying to be the hero of the story. Like, she's not a bad person, but she has hallucinations that she's going to become this evil person. And I really like that. I thought that was funny that it was a similar situation to Force Awakens and even Rise of Skywalker in terms of that, in terms of the Star Wars like mechanics of the new sequel trilogy. That's hilarious that they are similar in that way. Um, but so with that case, where I'm going with is that Sydney and Gale and Dewey are not in this movie as much because this is about the new characters. But they really do a great job of making these characters important. The legacy characters really important as well. Dewey is important to move the story along. Sydney, I think, is really great, like usual. I love Neve Campbell in this role. I think that she played a slightly different version of Sydney in this movie. And I don't know if people will catch on to this like I did, but looking at the way that she performed in this versus the other four movies is slightly different. Like in the other movies, um, she's more brooding and more badass. But I liked how in this one, it's like she's kind of got a giddiness to her. Like this character has gone through so much shit. Like she is now married to Mark Kincaid from Scream 3, but she has kids. She won't come back to Woodsboro, and then Dewey gets killed, so of course she comes back. That's the only reason she'd come back, and I really love that. I love that scene between her and Sam saying that I ran away too, but that doesn't stop anything. Like it's still gonna catch up to you. Like you gotta fight. Um, and I really like the scenes where Sydney is going through the house and the killer calls her on the phone and she's like, "Oh, you're the other killer," and they're like, "Yes," and she says, "Oh, there are two of you again." Like that kind of dialogue is funny. Um, I liked the fact that she was just so heroic, but felt like a human character. Like I like that this character always does this in these movies. She feels very relatable, but very badass as well. Um, I really enjoyed that. And Gale in this, I really dug. Courtney Cox. I love the fact that in this one, Gale is she and Dewey have broken up, and I know that they've broken up throughout this franchise. And I know in real life, Courtney Cox and David Arquette had broken up for a long time. I think right around when Scream 4 was made, they broke up or divorced, and the dialogue between them is really good whenever they interact with each other, Dewey and Gale, where they just say to each other like what they're sorry for. Like Dewey ran away from, like in New York, they lived in New York apparently because Gale's got that weather show, her talk show, and morning show co-host. She's like a host of a morning show, and Dewey apparently left in the middle of the night, wanted to go back to Woodsboro, and then ditched her for a couple of years, and then she didn't like they both had arguments, and I think that their dialogue is really good. Like whenever he said like I shouldn't have left, and she said, well, why didn't you just tell me? Like stuff like that, like I thought worked really well. um at the end, whenever Gale is with Amber and Sydney, where Amber has got them both hostage, and Amber says like, Dewey died like a pussy. Like, that pissed me off so much because that Amber character was so psychotic. But the fact that she shot Gale, grabs Gale, knocks into her bullet hole wound, and then after all that, whenever Amber says, I'm sorry, because she knows she's about to get killed, Gale just says, fuck you, and then shoots her and burns her alive, Amber. I didn't know that Amber pops back up and Tara shoots her, but that moment of Gale shooting Amber and burning her alive, I thought was great. Because it was just such a rewarding moment that Amber killed Dewey and now Gale killed Amber. I thought that was awesome. So I really enjoyed that. It was cool to see Deputy Hicks back again, but it sucks that she was killed. I really liked her a lot. I liked her dialogue. I like the moment where she's on the phone with the killer in her cop car, and then he says, do you like scary movies? And then her line is, I prefer animated movies and musicals. Like, that dialogue is great because I feel like Marley Shelton in Scream 4 as well did a great job of being like this doofy kind of silly cop character. And I just liked her line deliveries. They're really nice and just funny and sweet. And her death was brutal. Seeing her get stabbed in the broad daylight, and then her son Wes, right after, immediately gets a knife through his throat, and you see the knife like through the back of his throat. It was so effective, like so gross. I think it was a practical effect as well, but it was cool seeing Hicks back, even though she wasn't in this much. It was cool that she had a son, even though they both got killed off pretty quick. But that was fine. We also got a guy get killed off at the beginning who is Stu Macher's nephew, I guess, who's a creepo, and he gets one scene and then gets killed, which I thought was fine. The gore in this is insane. Like I said, the scene with Hicks being killed, the scene with Wes getting killed, Amber getting burnt up. I love this scene where Sam, being the hero of the story, being the hero of the story, but having this mental problem where like she is afraid she will become Billy, and the fact that she straight up murders Richie, but is the hero, I think is great. I like that it isn't just black and white, where like she's not a bad person, but she has hallucinations that she's going to be like her dad, who is a killer. And then I love that she saves the day and she stabs the shit out of Richie, like, I don't know how many times. It's insane. And then he says, wait, while he's bleeding to death, what about my ending? And she's like, here it is. And then she just like cuts his throat open, and I'm like, holy shit, that was good. Like, just how insane that was. That was so fun. And I really liked that a lot about the movie. There's nothing I really disliked. I feel like it's definitely my third favorite overall, but it's really hard to beat the first two. It's very, very hard. This one had a lot of good things about it that were different in the franchise. It had some great performances. It had some great gore. But it's hard to rank them, seriously. Like, I love the first two so much. 3 and 4, I have things I like about, but they're definitely weaker. But I feel like this one is just a really, really great love letter to Wes Craven. And Radio Silence, the directors, I forgot what their real names are, but I loved Ready or Not. Ready or Not was a great movie that they did, and this one really surprised me in terms of, well, I guess I don't know about surprise is the word, because I really, really love Ready or Not already, but it's a tough thing to go into making a movie and being the first directors that have not directed the other films, where in this case, Wes Craven directed all 4 of the first 4 Scream movies. And everyone was adamant to come back because of Wes and because they wanted to make sure his legacy was properly done. And I felt like it was. This was a great movie, and I was genuinely surprised that every route it took and everything it did, it was just fun, it was entertaining, it was funny. It was gory as could be. It had some great characters. It had some great character moments. I really enjoyed this one. So I'm glad I saw it twice. So like I said, I could do spoiler review. But that's it for today. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.